Jai Hind class. So today we are going to continue with the chapter The Kite Maker from your English literature book. So I sent the videos of the first of the start of this story last week, and and I'll just recap it quickly. There's a little boy called Ali. He's a poor boy. He lives with his grandfather who makes kites, right? They live around a street where there is an ancient banyan tree called Gali Ram Nath. And Ali is, when the story starts, Ali is running barefoot and he's wearing a torn shirt. He goes towards his grandfather in the courtyard of their house, and he says that his kite is gone. His grandfather is daydreaming, and he awakes from that daydream, and he displays a beard that is of orange color because of the mehendi dye that he uses to dye the white beard with, right? And he asks if the twine break. Twine is the thread which is used to fly the kite, and the boy says no, the twine didn't break, the kite got stuck in the banyan tree. So the old man chuckled, he smiled, and he found it a bit funny, this thing that his kite got stuck in the banyan tree, and he said that you still need to learn how to fly a kite properly, and but he also promised that he will get a new kite. And he picked up a kite which he had just finished making, and it is made of bamboo paper and thin silk, and it was left to dry in the sun to firm up. It was a pale pink kite with a green tail, and the grandfather handed the kite to Ali, and Ali said that I will not lose this one, and this kite will fly like a bird. And he turned and went out of the courtyard. Now we'll continue with the story. The old man remained dreaming in the sun. His kite shop was gone, the premises long since sold to a junk dealer. Premises means a small building or a place or a piece of land which is owned by someone. And junk dealer means someone who trades in junk, someone who buys junk from other people, and then makes use of the scrap material and sells it again to the other manufacturers and other people who want it. In Hindi it is called kabadi wala, right? Junk means kabad, junk dealer means kabad wala or kabadi, right? But he still made kites for his own amusement and for the benefit of his grandson Ali. Not many people bought kites these days. Adults disdained them. Disdained as in disliked them. They did not approve of it, and children preferred to spend their money at the cinema. So the old man when Ali went out of the courtyard, the old man, the grandfather, he again started daydreaming, and he started thinking how his kite shop was gone, and he sold it to a junk dealer a long time ago. But even now that his kite shop is gone, he still makes kites because he likes it. It is for his own amusement, right? He gets certain satisfaction and happiness in making kites, and he also makes kites for his grandson Ali. And he thinks about how not many people like flying kites these days, because the adults they think that it is a waste of time, and they do not approve of it, they dislike it, and the children themselves, they prefer to spend their money at the cinemas rather than on kites. Moreover, there were not many open spaces left for the flying of kites. The city has swallowed up the open grassland that has stretched from the old fort's wall to the river bank. And then the story continues. The storyteller tells you that another reason that the kites and people are not keen or not interested in flying kites anymore, because all of the open spaces, they have been consumed, they have been used by the emerging cities, right? Expanding cities. So the areas for flying kites is gone, and because the city has swallowed, it has taken up. All swallowed as in taken up, it has used up all the open grassland that used to be there from the old fort walls to the river bank. That all land has been used for other buildings in the cities. But the old man remembered a time when grown men flew kites and great battles were fought, the kites swerving and sweeping in the sky. Swerving means changing direction. So if you've ever seen a kite flying, you might see that it is flying this way and suddenly it goes this way. So this motion is called changing direction, is called swerving. And sweeping, as in sweeping is the movement that is which is going upwards and then again suddenly going downwards. Sweeping in the sky, tangling with each other until the string of one was severed. Severed means cut. Then the defeated but liberated kite would float away into the blue unknown. Blue unknown means the blue sky. There was a good deal of betting, and money frequently changed hands. But this old man, the grandfather, remembered when a time long ago when grown men, right, fully adult men, they used to fly kites and they fought great battles, as in it was like there was a kite flying competition and everything, and how how beautiful the kites looked, swerving and sweeping in the sky, tangling with each other, getting stuck with each other, and until one of the string of one of the kites is cut, and the defeated but the liberated means free. Liberated means something that you give freedom, right? So defeated and liberated kite would float down to the blue sky, and there was a good deal, as in there was a good amount of betting. People would bet money on it, and money frequently changed hands, as in money was frequently based upon the bet, who won, who lost. Money was transferred from one person to another. Kite flying was then the sport of kings, and the old man remembered how the Nawab himself would come down to the riverside with his retinue. Retinue over here means a group of advisors, a group of followers, assistants. With his retinue to participate in this noble pastime. There was time then to spend an idle hour with a gay dancing strip of paper. Gay over here means happy, colorful, right? Joyful. Now everyone hurried in a heat of hope, and delicate things like kites and daydreams were trampled underfoot. Trampled means to be crushed on, right? So the old man remembers that the kite flying, it was a sport of kings, right? Big people, rich people, noblemen. And the old man, Ali's grandfather, he remembered how the Nawab came along with his retinue, with his group of followers and assistants to the riverside to participate in this. And the writer uses the word noble pastime, as in he's trying to highlight it that now it's considered bad, but previously it was considered noble, very good, right? Very respectful. And he remembered that there was time to spend an idle hour. Idle hour, as in an hour which you do not necessarily use to gain anything except joy over here, right? With the dancing strip of paper, which is the kite. Kite is a strip of paper. It dances in the sky. That is why it is called dancing strip of paper. But now everyone in their fast lives, in their speedy lives, they hurried onwards in the heat of hope. Heat of hope, as in the passion, in the energy of hope, and delicate things. Delicate, as in Hindi it's called nazuk, right? Gentle things like kites and daydreams, they were crushed under the foot of men. He, Mahmud the kite maker, now we come to know the name of Ali's grandfather. Mahmud had in the prime of his life, prime means but prime means the apex of something, the highest point, the best phase, the best portion of someone's life. The prime of his life being well known throughout the city. Some of his more elaborate kites, elaborate means detailed, more complicated kites, once sold for as much as 3 or 4 rupees each. At the request of the Nawab, he had once made a very special kind of kite, unlike any that had been seen in the district. It consisted of a series of small, very light paper discs trailing on a thin bamboo frame. To the end of each disc, he fixed a sprig of grass. Sprig means a small stem with leaves, right? Forming a balance on both sides. So he was remembering Mahmud, the grandfather, who was the kite maker. He remembered that during the best times of in his life, he was quite well known throughout the city, and some of his more detailed and complicated, his really good kites, they were sold for 3 or 4 rupees for each kite, which at that particular time was a huge amount. And he remembers as how the Nawab requested him to make a kite for the Nawab for himself, and he had once made a kite, very special kind of kite, and such a kite has never been seen again in the skies in the district, and it considered a small series of small, very light paper disc as in small circles, right, trailing on thin bamboo frame, and to the end of each disc he added a sprig, a small stem of grass with leaves on it to balance it out. The surface of the foremost disc was slightly convex. Convex means coming outside. So anything, see, this is convex, right? And if it is this, if the curvature, if the it appears that something is depressed a little bit inside, right? So that is will be called concave. Convex means coming out, ubhra hua in Hindi it is called. The surface of the foremost disc was slightly convex, and a fantastic face was painted on it, having two eyes made of small mirrors. The disc decreasing in size from head to tail, assuming an undulatory form. Undulatory means having a smoothly rising and falling form, right? Form, and gave the kite the appearance of a crawling serpent. Crawling serpent, the way a serpent, a snake, as you can say, goes on, right, moves forward, that is called, that way is called crawling. It required great skill to raise this cumbersome device from the ground. Cumbersome means a very complicated thing, right? And only Mahmud could manage it. So the surface of the foremost of the first disc was slightly convex, and it has a fantastic face painted on it. Instead of the eyes, there were little chips of glass on it, so that in the sun it reflects back. And the discs, the other discs, they kept on decreasing in size as you moved from the head of the kite to the tail of the kite, and it gave the overall appearance was that it appeared like a snake was crawling up. And it required great skill as a kite flyer to fly this kite, to raise this kite from the ground towards the sky, and only Mahmud was able to do it. Everyone had heard of the dragon kite that Mahmud had built, and word went round that it possessed supernatural powers. A large crowd assembled in the open to watch its first public launching in the presence of the Nawab. At the first attempt, it refused to leave the ground. So everyone, when he made this kite, which everybody called the dragon kite, everybody heard of it, right? Everybody knew of the dragon kite that Mahmud himself had made, and rumors started going around, gossip started going around that this particular kite had supernatural powers, right? It was a bit magical, right? So a large crowd, a big group of people, they assembled, they came along when at the first launching of the kite into the sky, and at that particular time the Nawab himself was present. And when Mahmud tried first to raise the kite from the ground, he failed, right? The disc made a plaintive protesting sound, and the sun was trapped in the little mirrors and made of the kite a living complaining creature. And then the wind came from the right direction, and the dragon kite soared into the sky, wriggling its way higher and higher, with the sun still glinting in its devil eyes. And when it went very high, it pulled fiercely on the twine, and Mahmud's young sons had to help him with the reel. But still the kite pulled, determined to be free to break loose, to live a life of its own, and eventually it did so. So the disc made a very plaintive protesting sound. Plaintive means a sound which is very full of sadness and mournful, which is a very mournful sound, right? So when he tried to raise the fly out above the ground, the discs of the kite made a very sad, mournful sound, and the sun. It appeared that the sun was trapped in the little mirrors and it gave the overall feeling that the kite was a living, complaining creature, right? Then the wind came from the right direction, and the dragon kite it started flying up in the sky. But when the mirrors that were supposed to be the eyes of the face, which was on the first disc, it started reflecting the sun. Then it appeared it was the writer has described it as the devil eyes, right? So it is giving you the expression of something which is more complicated. The kite seems that it is alive, right? And when it went very high up, the wind and the kite, it was such a big and heavy kite, and the wind took it, the force of the wind made the twine almost break, which Mahmud was holding. So much so that his sons had to help him to hold on to the kite. The twine snapped, the kite leaped away toward the sun, sailed on heavenward until it was lost to view. It was never found again, and Mahmud wondered afterwards if he made too vivid, too living a thing. Vivid means lively, something full of life and energy. Too living a thing of the great kite. He did not make another like it, and instead he presented to the Nawab a musical kite, one that made a sound like a violin when it rose in the air. So when he was flying, the kite, the twine, the thread of the kite broke, and it leaped away toward the sun, as in it kept on flying towards the sky, and it was completely lost from view. Nobody could find it, and it was never found again. And Mahmud often wondered if he made a very lifelike kite, this dragon kite, but he never made another kite like that. Instead, he presented the Nawab with a new kite, a musical kite, which when it flew, it made the sound like a violin is playing in the air. Those were more leisurely, more spacious days, but the Nawab had died years ago, and his descendants were almost as poor as Mahmud himself. Kite makers, like poets, once had their patrons, but no one knew Mahmud, simply because there were too many people in the gully, and they could not be bothered with their neighbors. But these were times that Mahmud was remembering. These were leisurely, more spacious days. Leisurely, spacious days means more relaxed, unhurried days, right? Time when people had a lot of time in their lives. And the Nawab himself, he had died several years ago, and his descendants, his sons and grandsons, they were just as poor as Mahmud himself. And because kite makers, just like poets and other artists, they need to have a patron. Patron means person who gives some financial help or support to artist. That is called a patron. So because kite makers, like other artists and poets, they required patrons, but now no one knew who Mahmud was, because there were too many people in the area where he lived, the gully, and nobody was bothered, nobody was interested in knowing their neighbors. So we'll stop over here, and we'll continue it in the next video, in the next class. Thank you.